So before we get started, just a couple of my typical reminders. So you are at the 7th transfer workshop series of the semester. I'm so excited to see so many people here. As always, your transfer class is absolutely doing a phenomenal job at participating and taking control of your transfer experience. We've never seen such high attendance, so thank you all. We have one more workshop on December I believe 1st, but you can check that out on Campus Connect, just like where you RSVP'd for this event. Just a reminder, if you want to be eligible to join CTHS, you'll need to attend 2 workshops this semester and attain a 3.5 GPA within your first 12 credit hours. Right after the first workshop, within a day or two, I'll be sending out an email to let you know, to those who have attended 2 workshops and say, hey, congratulations, you've attended 2. And then I'm going to be executing grade checks with my fellow pro staff at the orientation office. And then in January, if you met the requirements, you'll receive an official invitation to join. And I'm hoping that's for all of you, because I'm sure you're all way above 3.5 GPAs. And I clearly can tell that you're looking to make the best of your experiences. So with that, we also have, I see a bunch of our Crimson mentors here. So at the end of the workshop, after our host is finished, if you have any just general questions, feel free to ask those, and our Crimson mentors will happily help you out. So with that, I'm going to hand it over to Arturo. He is our co-host for today, and he's going to be presenting to you. So thank you.
Awesome. Well, thank you everybody for having me give a little spiel about what my program is, some of my responsibilities. But I'm as a transfer student myself. I know what many of you might be currently experiencing. Maybe you have some questions, and I want to kind of point everyone towards the right direction. I want to make sure that everybody has, access to these resources. I think the more resources you have at your display, the better you are, the better chances you'll have to be successful during your academic education. I'm going to be sharing my screen. There are multiple things I wanted to show everyone, but let's get started. And am I sharing the PowerPoint screen right now? Awesome, cool. Well, thanks everybody again for coming. My name is Arturo Canela. I work for Test Prep over at Continuing Education and Community Engagement. I want to break just like a little bit of, like I said previously, I want to show you everyone my personal experience as a transfer student. So I'm gonna move through the slides. There are some links that I've provided, and then I'll just kind of click on those, show you, what information I am speaking about, just to give you a visual of those resources. I graduated from a community college called San Diego Mesa College in 2013, and I transferred to Southern Utah University shortly after, where I graduated with a bachelor's in criminal justice in 2016. I really wanted to further my education. So I pursued a master's in public administration, and I graduated last 2019 May, with a public administration master's from Southern Utah University. I'm currently working on applying for the PhD program at the University of Utah. So hopefully everything goes well. But let me kind of break down my experience as a transfer student. As many of you are probably unaware, there is a high necessity to complete the ACT as a college entry requirement. I'm the first student, or the first person in my family, to go to college. So there's a lot of things I was really unaware of in regards to higher education. One of those being not knowing what tests to take and when to apply for those tests. Luckily, I work as a test prep administrator, and we offer courses from ACT, LSAT, GRE, GMAT. We also offer math refreshers for students that have a harder time with math concepts, myself included. So I'm going to break those courses a little bit further into my presentation. Yeah, as a transfer student, when I graduated high school in 2010, again, I wasn't sure like anything. I was unaware of any applications and how to go about them to get into college. I was an athlete, and I knew I wanted to pursue that passion in college. So the next best thing was for me to enroll in the community college. I was able to learn that you could bypass some of these, well, at least the ACT exam, if you earn an AA. So I earned my AA in liberal arts and science, and that allowed me to transfer to a four-year university without having to provide those test scores. It was kind of like a way to go around that requirement. And it's funny because nowadays that's the biggest concern, is like in our program, we're trying to find viability with ACT because there are many college institutions that are no longer requiring it. So it's, it's this new thing, like kind of like this new concept of like, oh yeah, like there's ways around to go to college now, but it's like those things have been in place for a while now. It's just, students are probably unaware of that. I'm going to move on to the next slide. And I just wanted to verify that everybody had the chance to look into your credits obtained at your previous institution. This is huge, especially as an incoming student or transfer student. You need to be able to determine whether the credits you earned at your previous college institution are going to be able to transfer. And the reason why it's huge is because this saves you time, saves you classes that you don't have to retake. There might be some prerequisite classes that you have to enroll in because some of those transfer credits won't do that. So it's very important to just kind of keep in mind all those different things before you transfer into the institution of your choice. Hopefully everybody that is here has already gone through that process and determined whether or not those credits are applicable at the University of Utah. And then I also wanted to touch base on out-of-state tuition. And I provided a link here. This is the University of Utah's admissions page. I believe it's a year. You have to live within the state of Utah for a year in order to receive that in-state tuition. This was huge for me, especially coming from California. Again, out-of-state tuition was ridiculous. SUU is one of the cheapest universities in the state of Utah. But I was paying the same price as students pay at the University of Utah itself. So things to keep in mind, this is another thing that there's ways to bypass this requirement. And I would highly encourage everyone that's interested in this, that this is actually applicable to look into the admissions page and see how you could get that in-state tuition much quicker. I know that there's work that you could be completing, and that kind of shaves off some of those months. So it's 12 months, but depending on different circumstances, you can apply to receive in-state tuition much quicker. So again, highly encourage everybody to look into those resources available if it's applicable. Another thing I wanted to touch base on is just the program itself that I overlook. As I mentioned, I overlook ACT Prep, GRE, GMAT, Math Refresher, and LSAT. These are all entry requirements for different programs. For example, if you're looking to get into the business program, the GRE will probably be one of those exams that is required. It really depends, maybe an engineering program. The LSAT, obviously, that's geared towards students that are looking to pursue a law education. They're looking to be practicing attorneys. So all that information is available on that link provided below. One thing that I wanted to touch base on, and this is based on my own personal experiences and things that I've looked into, is effective test taking strategies. I was, as a student, I struggled with test taking. Sometimes I wouldn't earn the grades that I was looking for or aiming towards. So I started looking into different, different strategies that would help me maximize on my abilities to perform well on the exam. And what I read this article, and there were these 7 steps that I ritually and religiously followed as I prepared for an exam. And I'm just going to break them, each one of those, down a little bit, just to help you become more familiarized with it. Maybe you could implement these into your own study. It's really up to you. This is what will help me, achieve my goals and help me just earn those exam grades that I was looking for. Number 1 is just familiarize yourself with the content. That is quite simple. Essentially it means, take the time, study the material, familiarize yourself with the content that is being discussed. I would spend anywhere from 2 to 4 hours a day studying material on a regular basis. And that is not mentioning, test days. On the week of the test, I might, bump those hours up a little bit, or as I prepare for a test, I might bump it up. But as just a rule of thumb, it was just 2 to 4 hours just completing completing any type of coursework, maybe reaching out to an instructor, getting better clarity, stuff like that. Let me go back. Number 2 was exercise regularly. I learned that when you're exercising regularly, it stimulates your brain, and research shows that when you stimulate your brain, you're more adapt to information. You'll take content more and store it, for longer periods of time. It's almost kind of like you just remember it. It's a really good thing to do. It helps you, just stay healthy as well. I don't think I touched base on this, but I was a track athlete. So it was very easy for me to just go for a 30-minute run. A lot of the times I would record myself, with my notes. I would just record voiceover about all the notes that I was going over. And then I would go in for a 30-minute jog and then just listen to myself. It's hideous listening to yourself in a voice recording, but it does help reinforce some of those concepts. And rule number 3 is just don't spend 2 hours studying on the day of the exam. And the reason why is because you should have already prepared for this exam. It shouldn't be something that you're preparing for the day of. You could go over material, just very light material, but your brain capacity has been, is up to par. At this point, you have already consumed all the knowledge that you're going to display on the exam. So any extra hours that you spend going over the material is not going to, you're not going to gain a ton more. Number 4 was treat yourself. The day of the exam, don't go in the exam hungry. Try to avoid that by any means. It's just going to take away from your concentration. If you feel like eating a donut, right before the exam, do it. If you want to eat some pancakes, whatever comfort food you have, it'll just help you just really focus on the test at hand. Number 5 was just go on a walk an hour before the exam. Again, stimulating your brain. Hopefully by now you've been doing that, preparing for the exam. So this is just going to bring up a bunch of other concepts that you've already listened to and try to memorize. So it's a good way to do it. One method that worked for me was I would just walk to the place where I was taking the exam, and I would take a longer way to get there. If it took me 10 minutes to get to the location where the exam went, I would take a longer route and make it a 20-minute walk. And really just kind of going visualizing what concepts you're going to encounter on the exam itself. It helps a ton. And then number 6, your work is done. Don't waste time reviewing material. This is huge, especially when you're already at the location. I know I've done this myself in the past where I'm trying to, get as much content as I can within the last 5 minutes before the exam starts, 10 minutes before. Again, you already spend your time studying. So anything that you read you're not going to retain any of that. That is all out the window once that exam begins. So take your time, really prepare in order to be able to perform on this exam. Number 7, this one's huge. Studies show that the human brain could fully focus on a single task for 18 minutes, 20 minutes tops. That's everybody across the board. What that means is that you're gonna have 18 minute spur where you're just, you know, crushing it. You're moving through questions and you're doing really well. But then once that 18 or 20 minutes hits, you're gonna hit a wall, and it's gonna be very, very difficult for you to like start remembering all these concepts, and you're gonna realize that you're wasting time, you know, because you're not being as productive as you were those first 18 minutes. So what I would suggest and what I did was just kind of set my stuff down, take a minute, not really think about anything, just close your eyes or look up and just don't have any thoughts regarding any of the test questions, anything at all. This will just be like a natural reset button, and it'll kind of help you get back into the groove of things. Now you want to do this for about 30 seconds. And then once that is done, you can jump into the, you know, jump right back into the test. And then you should be able to perform just as well. I encourage you to use this method as needed. Again, it really depends on, you know, what works best for you. And I also wanted to emphasize that you can apply these steps to the courses that I'll be going over. However, some of these are more standardized. They're a little more rigorous exams. For example, the LSAT. And I'm going to break down the LSAT on the next slide and what it is that we offer. The LSAT course, as you can see, it includes how to assess your strengths and weaknesses to improve your performance on the test and reduce test-taking strategies. Reduce test anxiety. The LSAT course itself will analyze essay writing, logical reasoning, analytical thinking, reading comprehension, and we'll have full-on practice scale tests. We do have two options. Our program's offering a standard LSAT prep course and an LSAT course with Magoosh. And the difference is very understated. The standard LSAT prep course, it consists of 30 hours of live instruction. And all of this is offered online due to COVID restrictions. We're all forced to live in an online world and communicate virtually. However, don't panic. This is not the first time this has been done. So, you know, just get familiar, get comfortable enough to attend online classes, online courses. And the LSAT with Magoosh is a reduced number of hours. So instead of 30 hours as the LSAT standard course is, it's 16 hours, but it has a Magoosh license. And I'll go a little bit deeper into that license and what that entails as I move further down the slides, because I'm going to cover some more test prep courses while we await that. The GMAT test prep course, again, these are kind of the expectations that students are going to walk away with the course with these skills: math, grammar, and usage skills, reading comprehension, critical thinking and quantitative ability skills, integrate reasoning, analytical writing assessment, and verbal skills, full-scale practice tests. Again, we do a diagnostic test from all the courses. You'll begin with the first test, and that just lets us know what your strengths, what your weaknesses are. It allows us to leverage, the course to your standards. It's a great, the GMAT, like I said, it's usually for engineering students, but I'd highly encourage everybody before taking any of these tests to look into the program and see if they still require them. A lot of these programs have removed and waived some of these requirements due to COVID. So, take the time to learn about the program. Maybe you don't need to take the test, and that is, you're saving yourself an extra several $100. And hopefully that gets you a step closer to the program of your choice. The GRE, again, this is predominantly for business school, graduate school as well. And they review math concepts, verbal practice, quantitative ability skills, writing proficiency, as well as that full practice length scale. And this is also where we have two options for students to participate in. The standard option is a little bit longer, again, 30 hours. and the GRE hybrid prep course is condensed to 16 hours with that Magoosh license. Let me move ahead into the math refresher course. If many of you are like myself, you probably struggle with some of the math concepts. These are generally the concepts that will be covered during class: prime numbers and number properties, converting between percent, decimal, and fractions, roots, exponents, factoring, polynomials, evaluating an expression, solving linear equations. We do have a quiz in our website, and that is how we're able to determine whether or not a student is eligible or should participate in this math refresher course. Hopefully when I click on the link, am I still sharing the screen for the link, or is that a different?
We're seeing the PowerPoint.
Okay, got it. So what I'm gonna do is, let me share, sorry. Okay, so now, if you go to the page, our page, there towards the bottom, there will be a section where it asks you, how do I know if I need to take the math refresher prep course? You'll just take the PDF form, or you'll click on the PDF form and you'll see a quiz, no more than 20 questions. If you can move through all 20 questions fairly fine, chances are you don't need this course. However, if you stumble upon many of these concepts, you probably should consider it, just because these are generally concepts that you're going to encounter during your studies. It'll just make it much easier for you to gain the adequate information. Maybe you're taking a research methods class. Some of this stuff will be utilized. Whatever math course that you're enrolled in, just make sure that you're really comprehending the concepts that will be discussed during the class, and then that will help you, become a master of your deficiencies, hopefully like myself. And jumping back into the presentation, I wanted to show everybody just kind of the Magoosh, but I think I'm cutting it a little short. So hopefully I'll just spend a quick minute or two going over this information. I'm gonna have to, let's see. Here we go. Okay. So this partnership is the Magoosh page on now? Is that? Perfect, awesome. So this, we developed a partnership with Magoosh prior to the pandemic. We were starting to think of ways where we could offer our services in an online format. This was perfect. It just kind of helped us launch the course much faster than we would otherwise. So the pandemic was a blessing in disguise. But Magoosh is awesome. It's one of the nation's leading test prep companies, and they offer courses like the ones that you see here: GRE, GMAT, TOEFL, SAT, ACT, Praxis, LSAT, MCAT, and IELTS. I'm going to jump into the GRE course because I feel like that might be more applicable to you students. And the cool thing about Magoosh is that it's a downloadable app. You could download that to your smartphone, and you'll have tons of access to the Magoosh content. If you click on that, let's see, let me just log in real quick and show you what it looks like from my end of things, or from the student's perspective. Let's see, I'm gonna jump into the dashboard, and right off the bat, you're gonna see all these different things that are available. So there's the math, the verbal, and the writing. These are the three predominant, the three only sections that you'll have to worry about in the GRE exam. You could take a practice quiz in each of these initially, and that'll give you a general idea of what it is that you need to study. If we jump onto the lessons, it gets more, it really drills down the concepts. So for example, this is the intro. If you're really unfamiliar with just the course structure, or not the course structure, excuse me, the test structure itself, you could click on these and just learn more about the test and become familiarized with the expectations. It's cool. It's a cool site because it allows you to jot down some notes. If there's important information, maybe information that you want to ask the instructor, You could always type in whatever it is, whatever notes you want, save it. You can mark the video as done, and then you'll, at the bottom here, you'll see a display of videos that are the next lesson and whatnot. And, you know, it'll just break down tons of stuff. It's a really cool tool. I really enjoy working with Magoosh. I've had the chance to participate in one of our GRE classes, and I truly enjoyed it. I loved it. I think it's almost, it replaces the textbook that is previously used in the class. So it's great, but it goes even above by, you know, providing this, this downloadable application feature. There's tons of practice tests. There's about 8 full-length practice tests. So this is, you know, I highly encourage any student to look into our GRE prep course with Magoosh, just because you really gain all the information necessary for the class. I'm kind of wrapping this down, so let me jump into my next slide. Am I still showing the Magoosh, or am I on the presentation now?
Nothing. We're not seeing anything right now.
Got it. Okay, my mistake. Sorry. Here we go. So everybody's really kind of, I've had the chance to speak to multiple students, and it seems like a lot of people are hesitant to complete an online education or complete online courses. However, this is not a new thing. This has been around for several decades now, when the University of Phoenix became the first institution to launch a fully online collegiate course site, which offers bachelor's and master's degrees. So these things, online courses are not, you know, it's not a new thing. I've myself, I completed most of my master's degree online. About 2/3 of my courses were all online, and I truly enjoyed it. I think one of my biggest concerns was, how am I going to be able to connect with other students? You know, am I going to get the same benefit as I would from an in-person class? And is the instructor actually going to be able to teach me, you know, the material that I'm looking to learn? And all those things check off the list. You know, it really sets the tone to build the course to your own needs, especially if you take advantage of the office hours. Instructors have office hours. I highly encourage everybody to look into those, as well as just different times when you can connect with your colleagues. There's multiple projects that you'll be working on where you work with group members, and you really get to know other people. So there's not much of a concern, or there shouldn't be much of a concern for you as incoming students. Just, you know, become familiarized with the expectations, get comfortable with the online learning. But I really, really hope we go back to in person, hopefully soon. A couple more resources available at the university are the Learning Center and the University Writing Center. As a graduate student, actually, I started using the the Writing Center at my university my junior year during my bachelor's degree. And as an English as a second language student, I truly enjoyed, you know, what they had to teach me. You know, different ways to improve my writing, and so on and so forth. I used the Writing Center up until I completed my final paper of graduate school. So take the time to, you know, really develop your writing skills. It's all paid for. You guys are all paying for it with tuition. So take advantage of those resources. The Learning Center is kind of like the tutoring center for the University of Utah. And this is a great tool because they cover, you know, different aspects of university education. There's different math classes that they'll help with. There's different writing classes, you know, so they have a list of catalog where they break down all the courses that they're able to kind of teach students and what they're able to cover. So take the time, familiarize yourself with those two resources. I think they're a great thing to have at your disposal. And then finally, I wanted to talk about the continuing education and community engagement. We do have a number of programs within the department lifelong learning. This is really cool. It's usually courses for fun. People take courses for fun, such as photography, art, you name it, professional education. This one's more geared towards working professionals, time management classes, IT boot camps, things like that that are going to help the working professional improve their skills. And academic credit, these are classes where it predominantly works with students that have been at the university, but maybe they stopped attending for whatever reason that is. Academic credit is there to help them gain those credits. Maybe they need 5 credits, and within academic credit, they could get 3 or 2 or 1. So it makes it much easier for them to achieve that goal. Academic non-credit, that's just what it is. It's classes that are non-credited courses, mainly for fun. OSHR Lifelong, this one's huge. If I have any students here who are over the age of 50, they do offer a number of tremendous courses for you to participate. And it's a really fun atmosphere. I really think that everybody that participates in that program truly enjoys it and walks out of the course with a lot of knowledge and information. Go Learn is awesome. I vouch for them because they take the craziest trips. They'll be out in Finland, they'll be out in Germany, Cuba, Washington, D.C., Italy, France. There are a number of places where you could take Go Learn. And the idea is that you'll take about a week or 10 days and go to those locations and really immerse yourself in the culture and get to know, and how different people communicate and just live amongst each other. It's a cool program. However, due to COVID-19 restrictions, it's on hold. And hopefully, we get this program back running, because some of those places look really fun, and I think a lot of their members were upset when we were forced to cancel some of those trips. Youth education, we provide youth education courses to students under the age of 17, between 17 and 8, maybe even younger. It really depends. Check the age restrictions. But it has the craziest courses. I work closely with the youth education team, and they offer courses like how to create a video game, how to become the next Shakespeare, how to there are a number of courses, and it's hard for me to name all of them, but essentially it's summer camps and camps for students to complete. Sometimes it's a week long, sometimes it's 2 weeks long. It really depends on what course they're enrolled in. Last but not least, the English Language Institute. This was huge. We work with a number of students coming from different parts of the world. We'll have students coming from Mexico. We'll have students coming from Japan, China, Saudi Arabia, tons of different places. And the idea is that we'll offer courses in the English Language Institute that is going to help them improve their English language skills, so that they can transfer that into the University of Utah, and they could take other courses that is going to be towards their degree. So that is a really neat program, and I'm happy to work with them. I work with them extensively just because of the GRE aspect. Some of those students need to complete a GRE or a GMAT or a math refresher course, and I've had experience working with those students, and they're a phenomenal group to work with. Hopefully, I hope to have addressed all aspects of transfer life as a student, and also the resources available to US students. But that is all my spiel. That's all I have. Hopefully, I'm more than happy to answer any questions. If any of you have any concerns, just go for it. Is there anything else is there anything I can cover? Anything, I may be able to answer for you?
Well, I do have a question.
Yeah.
I am an ESL student, and sometimes when I went to the writing center, they told me they won't be able to help me to fulfill the rubric or with the grammar sentence, which is one of my struggles. Do you know how can I improve my grammar sentence?
Right. So the Writing Center, another resource that I mentioned earlier was the Learning Center. I think the Learning Center might be equipped to help you with those concerns that you have. If not, I can share I'll try to share the link to the Writing Center on this.
Oh, the learning center. Yeah, you did.
Excuse me, the Learning Center.
Yeah.
Exactly. I'll include that on the chat box just so you have that at your